I want you to imagine this. You're standing in your own kitchen, in your home, and you realize the only living creature in that house who actually has your back is a dog you found half dead on the side of the road 3 weeks ago. Not your husband, not your family, a stray. And here's the part that'll keep you up tonight. He knew. Long before I did, he knew. It was a Tuesday in November, one of those gray, biting mornings where the cold gets personal. I was driving back from the grocery store when I saw him, a German shepherd, massive even in his broken state, lying in the mud on the shoulder of Route 9. Most people slowed down. Nobody stopped. I stopped. He didn't growl, he didn't run, he just looked at me with these amber eyes that were exhausted in a way that went beyond hunger. Like he'd been betrayed before. Like he was deciding, right then and there, whether the world deserved one more chance from him. I opened my car door, he limped in, just like that. I named him Ranger. My husband, Daniel, wasn't thrilled. "We can't just keep him," he said, but I'd already bought the food. I'd already set up the blanket. Ranger had already chosen his corner of the living room like he'd been waiting his whole life for that exact spot. The one who was truly unhappy was Daniel's mother, Margaret. She arrived 4 days later, suitcase in hand, smile on her face, daggers behind her eyes, for what was supposed to be a 2-week visit. Ranger took one look at her and sat directly in front of me, still, silent, like a soldier who'd just received orders. I thought it was funny at the time. I wouldn't find it funny for long. Let me paint you a picture of Margaret, because you need to understand what I was dealing with. She never yelled. That's the thing about truly dangerous people. They don't need to. Margaret operated in whispers, in sighs, in those little comments that are technically compliments but land like open-hand slaps. "Oh, you made dinner yourself? How brave." Daniel used to have such a clean home before, and then a pause, just long enough to be cruel. She'd been doing this to me for 3 years. 3 years of slow erosion, chipping away at my confidence, at my marriage, at the version of myself I liked. And Daniel, God, he loved his mother, so every time I tried to tell him, I sounded like the problem. But Ranger? Ranger didn't speak English. He couldn't be gaslit. From day one, he tracked her. Not aggressively, never aggressively, but every time Margaret entered a room, those amber eyes locked on her like a radar system that knew something was wrong with the signal. She hated it. "That animal makes me uncomfortable," she told Daniel. "He's unpredictable, feral. You don't know where he came from." Sound familiar? She was describing the dog. She was talking about me. Daniel started looking at Ranger differently. I saw it happening, the doubt being planted, watered daily by his mother's whisper campaign. Then came the lies. It started small. Margaret told Daniel I'd been short with her, dismissive, disrespectful. I hadn't been, but I couldn't prove a feeling. Then she escalated. She told him I'd screamed at her while he was at work, that I'd threatened her, that I'd put my hands on her. None of it happened. Every single word a fabrication, delivered with tears that came on command and disappeared just as fast. Daniel believed her. That week was the worst of my marriage. He barely looked at me. He started suggesting, gently at first, then not so gently, that maybe I needed to take a break, stay at my sister's for a while, give everyone space. He was exiling me from my own home, and I could feel her winning. But here's where the story turns. The night everything came to a head, Daniel and I were in the middle of the worst argument of my marriage. Margaret was in the hallway, listening. I knew she was listening. And I was 2 sentences away from walking that door and never coming back. Ranger walked into the room. He didn't come to me. He went straight to the hallway. He sat down directly in front of Margaret, silent, enormous, immovable, and he stared at her. Not growling, not threatening, just exposing. And Margaret, this woman who had never broken her composure in 3 years, panicked. She backed up. She started talking too fast. She said Ranger was threatening her, that he'd lunged at her, that Daniel needed to choose between his wife's dangerous animal and his own mother. And Daniel, my sweet, oblivious, mother-loving husband, finally looked at the right thing. He saw her face. He saw the performance. He saw the fear in her eyes that had nothing to do with a calm dog sitting in the hallway. He saw her clearly for the first time. The conversation that followed lasted 4 hours. I don't need to tell you all of it. What I'll tell you is that by the end of it, Daniel had remembered 7 other stories that suddenly made different sense. 7 moments he'd reframed in his head to protect his mother's image. They came back to him one by one, like water finally breaking through a dam. Margaret left the next morning, not in a dramatic storm, in total silence, which from her was somehow louder than anything. Ranger watched her go from the front window. When her car disappeared around the corner, he turned around, walked to his corner of the living room, circled twice, and lay down. Done. Case closed. Here's what I know now that I didn't know on that Tuesday in November on Route 9. I thought I rescued him. I thought I was the one doing the saving, pulling a broken thing out of the cold and giving it a home. But Ranger was placed in my life precisely when I needed someone who couldn't be lied to, someone whose loyalty wasn't conditional on family politics or comfortable illusions. They say dogs can sense things we can't. I believe that now. Not as a metaphor, not as a nice thing to say, but as a fact I lived inside. The most dangerous thing in my house wasn't the stray with amber eyes. It was the woman who never raised her voice, and the only one brave enough to say so couldn't say anything at all. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you've ever had an animal who saw what the humans around you couldn't, tell me in the comments. I read every single one.